YouTube, what's going on? Welcome to the Off the Schneid 2020 NFL Preview Series, where I'll be going over all 32 NFL teams, breaking down their rosters, their schedule, giving you a record prediction, as well as helping out with some betting tips. If this is your first time at the channel, do me a massive favor, hit that like and subscribe button, turn on notifications, and check the description for links to social media for Off the Schneid. Follow us on there as well. I want to give a massive shout out to OurLads Scouting Services and OurLads.com for helping me to make these videos. I'm on their website almost daily, and if you're a serious football fan, guys, you need to have this website bookmarked, favorited, whatever it is. Helps me at draft time, fantasy football purposes, when creating bet slips, as well as DFS lineups. It's your one-stop shop for NFL scouting services. There's a link in the description for OurLads.com as well as the social media. Do me a favor again, hit that like and subscribe button. But enough of that. Let's get to your favorite NFL football preview. All right, we're taking a look at the New Orleans Saints, who are my second favorite team and my NFC team. So we'll start at quarterback. As always, we got Drew Brees. In my opinion, one of the greatest quarterbacks that ever lived. He's probably my favorite quarterback ever. I really like his leadership. I love watching him in the huddle. I'm not here to talk about what's transpired over the offseason. That's not what I'm here to talk about at all. But I know what he can do, and I love the way he plays. I love his leadership, all that kind of stuff. And he's not done yet. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, has almost all passing yards, touchdowns, all passing records you could have, and he's not done yet. And I think he's got a couple good years ahead of him. If you ask me, if I'm starting a team right now and I get to choose between Tom Brady and Drew Brees as my quarterback, I'm going with Drew Brees. And I think most people would agree with me on that. So I don't understand all the hate he gets. I really don't. And again, this is not stemming from what's transpired over the offseason. It's just the general, like, he's a system quarterback or whatever you're trying to say to discount everything that he's done. It's absurd, to be honest with you. It's absolutely absurd in my opinion. But either way, so we got Drew Brees, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the game still right now, ever. All of these things are still true. So I love Drew Brees, and he's their starter, which is great. They've got Taysom Hill, who wears a bunch of different hats. He's lined up at tight end, wide receiver, running back, returns kicks sometimes. He does it all, and they paid him. I'm not sure what they paid him actually off the top of my head, to be honest with them. But they paid him to be kind of that guy and potentially be the quarterback of the future for them. Even though I think he's like 28, something like that. But either way, and then they brought in Jameis Winston as well, Mr. 30 and 30, just in case something like last year happens to Drew Brees, which is a great pickup. Like, you can say what you want about Jameis, but that's a great guy to bring in, especially for what they paid to have him as the backup. And that's who would be the backup if anything happened to Drew Brees again. I think it was a bit of a freak accident. I believe he cracked his thumb on a helmet last year is what happened to him. If that's something like that happens again, Jameis Winston's going to be the guy that comes in and plays quarterback, much like Teddy did, and not Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill will play the same role he played last year and maybe get a few more passing downs, something like that. But I honestly don't really see it, and I highly doubt it. And then they traded back into the 7th round because they heard that I think it was the Panthers were going to go ahead and grab Tommy Stevens as an undrafted free agent. Sean Payton just wasn't having it. Wanted him, liked him, traded back into the 7th round and picked him. So there you go. Control what you can control, and he certainly did that. Take a look at running back now. I think that they're in a fantastic position. Lat Murray can still do a lot for this team. 637 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns for Lat Murray, 4.44 average. That's exactly what you want out of a backup running back and rotational running back. I think Kamara will have a much better year. He still played 14 games, and his quote for last season was, "I was playing on one leg." So, and I'm inclined to believe that. I don't think what we saw last year from Kamara is Alvin Kamara. I really don't. I think previous years, that's who Alvin Kamara is and can be. So I think he definitely gets back to that. He still caught 81 balls, 533 yards, but his touchdowns were just way off, fell off a cliff. He only had 6 touchdowns last year, and I really don't think that continues into this season. I really, really don't. I think he gets back to full health and pushes that. At least pushes 1,500 total yards and gets up to around 18 maybe, as long as he's fully healthy, something like that. So Kamara, top 5 running back in the game. They got a top 5 quarterback in the game. They got a top 5 wide receiver in the game. Maybe you could push those into, for Thomas and Kamara, you could probably push those into the top 3 potentially. Argumentative for sure, but you could probably put those in the top 3. Kamara's not my top 3, but Mike Thomas absolutely is. So they're in a good position there offensively. We'll move to wide receivers. Again, Michael Thomas is fantastic. I actually was on record in his draft year saying that he could end up being the best wide receiver out of that draft class. That I am on record saying that. And he absolutely has been one of the best wide receivers in the game. 149 catches, ridiculous. 1,700 yards, only 9 touchdowns, but they spread it around a little bit, so not a big deal. Jared Cook's still there, 700 yards, 9 touchdowns as well. Ted Ginn leaves, but they bring in Emmanuel Sanders, which is absolutely an upgrade. And I think they needed that. They definitely have always been kind of searching for that wide receiver too. And another contributor to kind of help out with Michael, whether that was Michael Thomas, Colston, that type of thing. They've kind of struggled finding a secondary receiver outside of tight end and running back and that kind of a thing when they had Sproles. But either way, and I think Emmanuel Sanders is that guy. He's a fantastic leader as well, and he can still get it done. Again, Traquan Smith is still there. They got Deontay Harris, who I know they really like, especially in the return game and everything. And I think I definitely like him as well. And then Lat Murray also caught 34 balls as well. So they got a lot of weapons, tons and tons of weapons. This is one of the most complete teams in the NFL, top to bottom, offense, defense, everything. They are a fantastic team, very, very well built, one of the better teams in the game. Offensive line, they were top 3 in the league in sacks allowed, on the good side. They only allowed they were one of the fewest allowed sacks in the league. And I think that you could definitely say that they got better. Cesar Ruiz was their first round pick, which was surprising to me. I was quite surprised by that. And then they cut ties with Larry Warford. Cut ties with Larry Warford because they brought in Ruiz, which was surprising to me. However, this is where it kind of gets interesting, and I'll get off the offense for a second and come right back to it. But I had them picking Zach Bond in the first round. They ended up getting him in the third, I believe. To me, that's crazy. And I think there was like he had a tainted sample at the combine. I think that's the only reason why he dropped so far. I'm not too concerned about it. He doesn't get penalized for it. I'm not concerned about that. And they got a fantastic player in the third round. So we'll finish up with this offense. Ryan Ramczyk, Eric McCoy, Andres Pete, Teron Armstead. And then even Will Clapp, James Hurst. They got some other pieces. Calvin Throckmorton, who looked god-awful in the Senior Bowl, don't get me wrong, but he started every game he played at Oregon and played every position on the line except for left guard. So he can help out. If there's an injury, you definitely don't want to throw him in there and be starting in his rookie year. I don't think at all. In emergencies, it is what it is. But I think that he can learn and potentially take over for one of these guys, in a few years once he learns and gets better. Because he got just destroyed at the Senior Bowl. So the offense looks fantastic. Pete Carmichael's the offensive coordinator, but this is Sean Payton's offense, and it's Sean Payton's it's his team as well. So we'll move over to the defensive side. Dennis Allen's defense, who is also top 3 in getting after the opposing quarterback. So they're top 3 in sacks allowed and top 3 in total sacks for their defense, which is obviously, I don't need to tell you, that's a fantastic place to be. We'll look at who they lost over the offseason. They lost AJ Klein, which does hurt because they do have a weak linebacker core. I don't like their linebackers. Kiko Alonso looked like he was going to be a fantastic linebacker, but torn ACL kind of seems like it limited him a little bit. Maybe he'll recover from that and be just a phenomenal linebacker again. I doubt it, but he's serviceable. Nothing wrong with him. But AJ Klein is a fairly decent loss for them. Teddy Bridgewater, that's fine. It's a wash with Jameis Winston, backup quarterback. It is what it is. Eli Apple, I really don't think was very good anyways. And Janoris Jenkins can replace him, no problem. Kirkwood's gone, that's fine. Von Bell's gone, but they brought in Malcolm Jenkins, which is, it's probably an upgrade in my opinion. And that's pretty much it. Warford, but they did that on purpose. Manti Te'o, nothing wrong with that. Like Zach Line might be a reasonable loss at fullback, to be honest with you, but they just decided not to sign him, I believe. Maybe they just really like Mike Burton. I don't know what it is, but then they went and brought in Dwayne Washington should help out at running back. Him and Ty Montgomery are definitely decent depth guys to have. That's better than a lot of 3 and 4 on the depth chart running backs. Anthony Chickillo comes from Pittsburgh. He can help out on the defensive line. Margus Hunt helps out on the defensive line. And then their draft picks, they get Zach Bond, super helpful. And Adam Troutman. I didn't even talk about Adam Troutman. Jeez, sorry. On the offensive side, Adam Troutman's he was probably my tight end 1 in the draft this year, and he's probably going to be he probably stays at that third position on the depth chart with Jared Cook and Josh Hill there. So man, that's with the limited draft capital they had a really good draft. Zach Bond, Troutman, and Ruiz, fantastic. So this defense too is very, very good. Like I said, top 3 in sacks last year. Cameron Jordan is an absolute animal. I love Cam Jordan. 15.5 sacks, 18 tackles for a loss, 3 pass defended, sure. Marcus Davenport will probably take a step forward again. Trey Hendrickson will take another step forward. Demario Davis can help out. Onyemata, couple sacks. Mario Edwards is still there. Malcolm Brown, Sheldon Rankings. Like, man, this team is the only real weakness. And in the defensive backs, you could say their DBs are kind of a weakness. Marshawn Lattimore, absolutely not a weakness, but Jenkins, Williams, and Robinson are all kind of just like serviceable guys, much like Eli Apple, in my opinion. Similar to Eli Apple, Jenkins might do a ton better in this defense, much better than he did in New York. We'll kind of see in a full season. I do like Johnson Batamosi. Justin Hardy is okay, another step forward. And then their safeties are just fine too. Swearinger and Gardner Johnson as your backups. Nothing wrong with that at all. And Malcolm Jenkins is going to be great for that team again. Again, the only weakness I see kind of at linebacker, but in my opinion, what I always kind of say, if you're going to have a weakness on defense, make it linebacker. Like, the defensive line and your back end, your DBs, are much more important to me, unless you got like an all-world guy like Bobby Wagner or Luke Kuechly, something like that, which is pretty tough to come by. But if you're going to have a weakness, have it at linebacker. That's kind of my opinion on it. So yeah, that's your breakdown of the roster of the Saints. I think they're, again, one of the best coach teams. Dennis Allen's a great coach. Sean Payton's a great coach. I think they're one of the best teams, top to bottom, as far as depth and how they're built, everything like that. So let's take a look at their record prediction and their schedule heading into 2020. All right, so there's your prediction for the New Orleans Saints. We got the low, high, my. They're obviously a pretty substantial favorite. 1.9 on your money for them to win the division. I will pretty much definitely be picking the Saints to win this division. I think that they're just the most complete team with the best players in this division. I don't think it's particularly close. Even the Bucks. I think the Bucks are the Falcons are close too. I actually might like the Falcons more than the Bucks, to be honest with you. But I think the Saints win this division either way. So there you go. Low, high, my. 12-4 is kind of what I got them going. But we'll take a look at their schedule. So week 1, they start out against the Bucs at home. I think that they definitely get that win. It's a new season. And they're going to want to kind of like assert their dominance with Tom Brady coming in. I think they're going to want to assert their dominance in this division and make it known that this is our division to win. That's how I see that first game going. And then second game of the year, I believe they open up the stadium in Las Vegas against the Raiders there, which is tough, and it's a Monday night game. So that's tough, especially obviously if there are fans in the stands. That's going to be a tough game. I think the Raiders are a better team than people are giving them credit for, and in their new stadium, if it's packed full of people, I think that's a tough game, but we'll see how it goes. Either way, I still think that the Saints have a very good chance to win that game and probably get that win. At home against the Packers, that's a tough game. That's a tough game, but I think that everywhere that the Packers are strong, I think that the Saints would be able to neutralize them enough to win that game, especially at home. So very winnable game, one that they probably get. Another back-to-back primetime games. Then they go on the road against Detroit. I don't give Detroit a shot to win that just because their defense isn't quite where it needs to be to compete with a team like the Saints, even at home. That's just my opinion. And their offensive line makes me nervous as well. And so I think the Saints should be able to go on the road and get that win. And then right before their bye, another primetime game at home against the Chargers. I don't give the Chargers a shot. Honestly, I don't give the Chargers a shot to win that game, especially right before a bye, an early bye. If I'm the Saints, I kind of want a later bye. I'd rather, a week 10 plus bye week to get ready for the playoffs, which they absolutely will be in. 100%, the Saints will be in the playoffs. But either way, it is what it is. So they get that bye week. They should be. There's a reasonable possibility they're sitting at 5-0 or 4-1. I think 3-2 would be an absolute disaster, but not one that they couldn't come back from and still post my my prediction there. Come out of the bye, they play Carolina at home, absolutely getting that win. At Chicago, that's a tough game. That's actually a relatively tough game. But again, it's one that the Saints, I think, are the better team and I think can absolutely get that win. On the road against the Bucs, again, tough game on the road, and they have the best run D in the game, but their secondary is very susceptible, and I think that they get scored on a fair bit in the passing game, and I think the Saints definitely know who they are. If they are going to split with a team, it's going to be the Bucs and the Falcons, in my opinion. And if it's going to be like a home and home split, I think the Falcons they split with for sure because they play each other tough. The Bucs are just an interesting one, but even if they do split, I still think they're in a good spot. At home against the 49ers, I think that's one that they're going to want to get back, and definitely a winnable game for them. So that's a tough game, but I think that's a winnable game as well. It's just as winnable as the Bucs on the road and the Falcons on the road, kind of a game. And then at home against the Chiefs, it's they're all winnable. Obviously, these are all playoff contending teams, top tier teams. They're all winnable. It's just a matter of home and away, health, that kind of stuff. At home against Atlanta, winnable game for sure. We'll call it a split. On the road against Denver, that's actually a really, really tough game. I've been huge on the Denver Broncos, as a lot of people have been as well. I'm not breaking news or anything. A lot of people are pretty high on the Broncos. I'm very high on them. I mean, that's a tough game. That's a really tough game. That's going to decide where they finish. Kind of 11-5 might have been a better record prediction from me, and I think that probably still wins the division, but I do like the Saints a lot. They again, complete team, very complete team. On the road against Atlanta, tough game. They play each other tough, whether it's in Atlanta or in New Orleans. On the road against the Philly, I think they probably get that. I think they probably get that win, all things remaining equal right now with health and everything like that. I think that they have more weapons on offense and are probably just as good on defense. So I think they are just as good, maybe even better on defense. So that's a close game, a tight game in Philly, which it should be kind of chilly in December. But I mean, again, that's a very winnable game. I don't think that the Eagles win that division, and I think the Saints do. So I think that's something. I mean, it should be a close game. Should be a good one. The Chiefs. That's like Super Bowl preview potential right there. So that's a good one. That's a really good one. That should be prime time. I bet you that gets flexed. I'd be willing to bet that game gets flexed come time to a prime time slot, because that's a huge game and a fantastic game. So we'll see, but I'd be willing to bet that gets flexed. At home against Minnesota and on the road against Carolina, if they're in a position where they're sitting out guys, then maybe they lose those games, but then it doesn't matter. Not against Minnesota. I highly doubt, unless they're 14-0, and even if they are, they're going to keep going. But against Carolina, if they're kind of locked in, whether it's for the bye, which is possible, they are a team that could potentially be after that for that one first round bye. Or they're locked into 2, 3, 4, something like that, and the game just doesn't matter against Carolina. They could be sitting guys, and then who cares at that point? It doesn't matter if you lose that game. So there you go. I think that the 1.9 is decent. I'd make a bet with all 8 division winners, and this will be my division winner for the NFC South. I don't love the odds. I wish I was getting 2.4 money, something like that, but they are the best team in this division by a fair bit, in my opinion, so I can understand where the line is at. And I really like them this year to potentially get back to that Super Bowl that's kind of been eluding them since they won their first one there. If they can just get by the Vikings in the playoffs, then there you go. That Week 16 game should be fun, little revenge game, but I think it'll be relatively meaningless because the Saints will be here and the Vikings will be down here, in my opinion. But either way, there's your breakdown. Let me know what you think in the comments. There's your breakdown for the 2020 New Orleans Saints. Who dat?